Let's talk about some general safety requirements on the job site. One of the first things you want to do is immediately report all injuries, no matter how minor, to your supervisor. Common construction site injuries include burns and scarring, head injuries, spinal cord injuries, cuts and lacerations, broken, fractured, or crushed bones, limb or digit loss, loss of hearing, stress injuries, heat stroke, and vision loss. Head injuries are often suffered on construction sites due to falling objects, tools, or materials, especially for workers who are digging or building from the bottom up. These injuries can include lacerations on the head, concussions, traumatic brain injuries, and more. A hard hat can help protect workers from these injuries. These construction site injuries are often suffered because of falls, usually off of a ladder, scaffolding, or other high part of the build site. Spinal cord injuries can lead to partial or full paralysis, lifelong disabilities, and brain damage. Talking about cuts and laceration, construction workers often suffer cuts and lacerations of the skin due to poorly maintained or defective tools, unsecured machinery, exposed nails, and other on-site hazards. These cuts and gashes can even lead to infection if not treated properly. Workers should wear protective clothing and gear at all times to prevent these injuries from occurring. Broken, fractured, or crushed bones. Due to the heavy machinery involved in this line of work, some of the most common construction site injuries are broken, fractured, or even crushed bones. Bulldozers, cranes, and other equipment, if not secured properly or operated correctly, could hit or crush a nearby worker, inflicting serious injury. Limb or digit loss. Construction sites are full of heavy objects, materials, and pieces of machinery. If one of these falls on or traps a worker, it can easily cut off a limb, finger, or toe. Additionally, if limbs or digits are crushed or severely mangled, it may require amputation in order to preserve the worker's health. Let's talk about loss of hearing. The loud noises of heavy machinery and building equipment make hearing loss one of the more common construction site injuries suffered. If workers fail to wear earplugs while operating jackhammers or other extremely loud equipment, they could affect or lose their hearing. Additionally, if workers are struck by an object or hit with falling debris on the side of the head or on the ear, it could also lead to partial or total hearing loss. Let's talk about stress injuries. Construction requires a lot of repetitive movement. Constant lifting, bending, or moving in a certain way can cause stress injuries over time. These often occur in the back and can have life-changing effects for the worker. Let's talk about heat stroke. Construction workers are required to work year-round, no matter what the weather outside is like. Unfortunately, for workers in particularly hot areas, this can pose an additional on-the-job hazard. Overexertion and sun exposure, especially in the heat of summer, can cause workers to suffer a heat stroke, which comes with nausea, lightheadedness, and often fainting. If left untreated, a heat stroke can lead to brain, heart, or kidney damage or even cause death. Let's talk about vision loss. Improper handling of or exposure to on-site chemicals, gases, and other hazards can pose a risk to workers' vision. In some cases, prolonged exposure can even lead to partial or complete vision loss. Notify your supervisor if you are taking any prescription medications, name of drug, dosage, and the duration. Gambling, fighting, and horseplay on the job or in areas under project control will not be tolerated. No rings, loose or dangling jewelry, loop earrings shall be worn by employees. Riding on equipment loads, hooks, or headache balls will not be tolerated. Only qualified operators can operate equipment or cranes. OSHA defines a qualified operator as a person who, by possession of a recognized degree, certificate, or professional standing, or who by extensive knowledge, training, and experience successfully demonstrated the problems relating to the subject matter, the work, or the project. Compliance with warning signs, posters, hazard bulletins issued on the job is mandatory. When entering different work areas, familiarize yourself with the hazards and required safety precautions. Ask to review the THA, be alert for, and stay clear of operating equipment. You'll want to use barricades to warn others of hazards, open excavations, rebar, bridge deck openings, overhead work, etc. Barricade tape used on sites. Yellow is caution and used when entering. Red is warning, do not enter. Barricade tape must be properly maintained and removed when the operation is complete. THAs are required for all operations. They will cover the task, the hazard associated with the task, and the actions you will perform to mitigate those hazards. You'll also be covering the work items you will be doing for the day, the needs such as tools, equipment, and materials that will be used, and the daily goals of production. Be sure you sign your name and your employee number. Ask any questions you have, and make sure you get your answers clarified before beginning work. Because every person matters, never walk past an unsafe act or condition. Safety is everyone's responsibility.